Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, WTF, but in the best way possible. Never ever did I think we'd see a match like that on weekly television here in 2021, but we did, and slap my arse and call me a dentist. It was absolutely gnarly. Credit to both lasses involved. But Britt Baker, especially for going through what she went through, she certainly nicked a bigger vein than Thunder Rosa did, I think it's fair to say. But beyond any shadow of any doubt now, Britt Baker is the Allin Shearer of wrestling dentists. And let me tell you, everyone outside of Newcastle, praise doesn't come higher than that. But in what might just be the biggest potential WTF moment of the night from last night, remember Britt Baker's face there when Adam Cole, who is, by the way, her boyfriend, was going through some gnarly things in a match in NXT? Well, how the turntables. Can you imagine what his face must have looked like while watching that match on last night's Dynamite? But it is Thursday here on the Cultaholic Wrestling YouTube channel. I am Ross Twaddell from that there Cultaholic Wrestling, and it's time to go through all of the AEW TF moments from the Irish one in AEW Dynamite history. Hit the intro. Shay Given.
It's Jim Ross, bitch. Bah, Gouda did it again.
Now, I don't know about you at home, but the single last word I would personally use to describe those lads there is diverse. But Jim Ross did at the start of last night's Dynamite. Therefore, Jim, I've got to make it a WTF moment because I disagree with your opinion. That's wrestling. In my opinion, those lads there, they are white, bad, heely men in the professional wrestling world who all wrestle a throwback style from a bygone era, apart from NJF when he wants to whap out some flips, and apart from Wardlow, who's a big beefy boy. He's a big beefy boy, so he is. And then we hear Big Dick Tony Schiavone saying, now Cody's going for the figure four, let's see if he bridges up. Bridges up, Tony Schiavone. I know they're both blonde, and I know they're both generational talents within the world of professional wrestling. I know generational is a big word for me to use, isn't it? I'm a clever boy. But I don't think they look too much alike, do they, Tony? Surely you can't be getting those two mixed up there. And after last night's Dynamite, we now must make it official. Here on WTF Moments, Cody Rhodes' no-selling is now a big issue. And I'm saying that because I'm stood here, and I'm not really that old in the grand scheme of things, in terms of being a traditionalist in the world of professional wrestling. I am not one of those. This kind of stuff normally does not bother me in the slightest, but watching Cody do what he did at the end of that match last night, and also thinking about no-selling Shaq's offense, even though Shaq is absolutely massive and has muscles bigger than me head, well, after all that, dear viewer, it's clear that things have gone too far. So just in case you haven't seen that match last night, Penta was working on the already damaged arm of Cody Rhodes, and then we get to the end of that matchup. Penta gives one more big Rippington on the arm of Cody Rhodes, but despite that arm being damaged heading into the match, damaged during the match, and then one big rip at the end of the match, somehow, someway, Cody still has the power in his arms to pin down Penta's shoulders through a 3 count 1 second after that big rip. Come on. I don't know about you at home, but just the sheer shortness of the gap between, oof, your arm's out the socket, oh no it's not, pin, 1, 2, 3, it had me saying WTF, okay? And that's despite the fact we all know that Cody fights with the spirit of America in his veins, and with the will of the people willing him on. It's a load of bollocks, man, Cody. Stop no-selling. And then we get formally introduced to the Pinnacle, which is the best of the best. The Pinnacle in the wrestling business. It gets no better than the Pinnacle, which includes Shawn Spears, or Double S as MJF called him, which I hope is a nickname that doesn't catch on, quite frankly. I mean, who knows, this might just be the gimmick that finally sees all the things connect for Shawn Spears in AEW. But me, and this might just be my opinion, and I'm stood here with the camera, and I'm just saying words now, but me watching that segment on last night's Dynamite, I was looking at the Pinnacle all stood in a row, like neat little ducklings. And I was thinking to myself, Shawn Spears, he's the one taking all of the pinfalls when they lose matches, isn't he? But then we hear MJF, who is, of course, a professional wrestling heel. So is this a WTF moment at all? Who knows anymore? He is saying that FTR are apparently the only Grand Slam champions in pro wrestling history. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, if he's just referencing their time in WWE, that can't be true because the Street Profits, they exist. And it's also a really weird thing to say when AEW are doing that their business with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Ooh, I said it. And also the NWA. And while of course you have tag teams like the Young Bucks who haven't been in WWE, of course, but they've won won AAA Gold, they've won Ring of Honor Gold, they've won PWG Gold, and of course they've held IWGP Gold. All stuff that FTR haven't. Therefore, MJF, you professional wrestling heel, I conclude that you are a liar. Tough words. And quite frankly, Marco Stunt needs to thank the Butcher for saving his life. It looks to me, who of course is a mere muggle in the world of professional wrestling, who doesn't have a clue how the mechanicals of this fine sport works. But I see that hand there with the white tape on it. That looks like it belongs to the Butcher. Therefore, the Butcher, on last night's Dynamite, in a massive WTF moment, performed the best catch I've seen on television since the days of Dwayne Leverock. If you know, you know, and if you don't love cricket. And I guess I've got to make it a WTF moment when Excalibur said about Eddie Kingston that Eddie Kingston always makes sure to take care of his family. Eddie takes care of his family so much that he just allows the Butcher and the Blade to leave him without much explanation and then go to Matt Hardy because they were available. Why were they available, Eddie? They're your family, man. So it turns out that Eddie Kingston is still a bit of a poo house, but that's why we love the guy, isn't he? He's just real. What happened there? I've got no idea. But you know what I'm trying to say here, don't you? The gimmick infringement here as Kane tries to do the thing with his hands, which he can't do because, of course, he's a toy and not a real boy. The gimmick infringement here from Kenny Omega. It's a gimmick infringing on so many levels. I guess we start in a weird place, but with Montez Ford in WWE. He's been doing that for a while on Raw and SmackDown. Then we go back through the Animal Batista and yay! And all that stuff from way back in 2019. Xavier Woods, how you doing? And then, of course, we see Ultimate Warrior, and I'm sure more professional wrestlers down the line as well. Kenny Omega, you're a very naughty boy. And I've got no idea what to add to this line from Miro to Kip Sabian, but the fact that Miro said this to Kip Sabian is a WTF moment in my book. I can't say why, but I'm sure it is. The worst thing for your career is having your wife at ringside. God bless Miro for saying that line for some reason. It's a WTF moment. You know it is as well, don't you? I don't know why though. It just felt like one. Good. And then we get to the main event of the night, and I felt like an utter twat for even trying to make WTF moments out of that matchup there. But in terms of the wrestling action we saw, was it wrestling action? In terms of the gnarly, hard as piss action we saw between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, I'm relieved to say there was no real WTF moments at all to report on, like a journalist. But I don't know if it was just me, but I was looking at that shot there, and I'll look at it a bit more because that, of course, is a real wall that's behind me there. And I'm just looking at Britt Baker there, drowning in a pool of her own blood that's coming from her head as she crawls through some thumbtacks. And I'm just thinking, wrestlers, they're weird, aren't they? They're mental. Absolutely mental.
It's Jim Ross, bitch. Bah, Gouda did it again.
But we do have a WTF moment from that main event right at the end of the night from Jim Ross when he said, I've never seen anything like tonight in my entire career. And after he said that, and with the thumbtacks especially in mind, my heart, it went out to poor old Mick Foley. Mick must have been saying, what? Oh, hell no. Hold up, Jim. What the hell are you talking about, man? I didn't do that for you to do that on Dynamite last night. And then we have to mention the fact that wasn't the first unsanctioned match that Jim Ross has called as part of AEW, so there's that as well. But I must end these WTF moments for the Irish version of AEW Dynamite last night with a question for you. Since that unsanctioned match doesn't actually count towards the official win-loss records of either Thunder Rosa or Britt Baker, can it actually count as a match in terms of, you know, being voted match of the year and stuff like that? And I only ask that because surely when it comes to the year-end awards here at Cultaholic Wrestling Podcast and stuff like that, stuff that doesn't matter as much as the Cultaholic Wrestling Podcast, surely this match has got to be in contention for all of the awards. But will it, with people who count unsanctioned stipulations a bit too seriously? But that is it for all the WTF moments from last night's Dynamite. I've been Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic Wrestling. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you next week. Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, bloody well done.